needs. How do I do something for the kingdom? He's like, well, you basically put pamphlets on the table. Can you handle that? And that's what I did. Wow, kingdom business. That's easy. So I put a pamphlet on the table and puffed up my chest and did something for the kingdom. Well, that was the first thing I ever actually physically did and was deliberate about doing something for Jesus. Drove home, dropped him off, drove down my street, drove up to my driveway, drove into the driveway, went to the front door, put the key in, turned the door, opened up the door, and a blast of cold air came out of my hand. That was weird, because it was like May, end of May, and it was hot, and it was humid, and it was nasty, and this cold air blew out of my hand. I thought, I can't imagine that my wife took our approximately 150-pound air conditioner and stuck it in the window by herself. I can't imagine, because it's bulky, and it's just, I mean, she's a strong woman, don't get me wrong. But, seriously, I didn't think, there's no way she did that without me there to help her, because it's bulky and it's hard to deal with. It's like, that was odd, Have you ever had that experience where just the temperature inside your house is different than outside? You can't really explain it. I just kind of blew it off, right? Whatever. Went inside, and it was freezing inside the house. Like, what's going on here? Because it's nasty outside. It's sticky and gooey, kind of like it is in this room right now. That's how it was outside. Walked in the kitchen, and she was doing dishes. And I said, hey, what's up? And she's like, I'll tell you what's up. She goes, you know that chime your aunt gave us? I'm like, yeah. She goes, I was doing dishes here, and the chime rang by itself. What do you mean rang by itself? Well, she was doing dishes, and the chime went, cling! Right in front of her face. And I'm like, my wife's got long hair and she's doing the dishes. I'm thinking, well, it's cold in here, hot water. She might have bumped it, not realized it. No big deal, right? And she goes, no. I took the chime and I set it on the counter. The chime was laying on the counter and she went back to doing dishes, cling, on the counter. And I'm like, okay, well, near as I can recollect, the way a chime works is it hangs down and the chimes bump into each other, and that's how they ring. I don't think they ring by laying down. I don't think that even works. No, that doesn't work. Okay. I said, what did you do with it then? She said, I took the chime and put it in our junk drawer. You guys have a junk drawer where there's one drawer where anything that doesn't fit anywhere else in the house goes in that drawer. It doesn't rubber bands, a hammer, staples, coupons that you're never going to use. That all goes in the junk drawer, right? Calendars from 1994. Why you don't throw that away? So that's where the chime went. The chime went into there, and she said she closed the door, went back to washing dishes, cling, 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 started ringing inside the drawer. So she took the chime out and went and she threw the garbage outside, and that's where it was. All right, I'm still like, wow, I don't even get that. I don't even understand what's going on. She goes, that's not all. Follow me. Our daughter was 1 year old. My son was not quite 2, and they were both in their cribs. When I walked to my daughter's room, my daughter's fists were balled like this up against her chest. She had this look on her face. Asleep but moving her head like in pain. Instantly, I think I got more angry than I've ever been in my entire life. I ran down the hallway to my son. He had his fists like this, up against his chest, and this up on his face. Okay, they were attacking my kids. I took her out into the living room. I said, sit down, we need to talk. And at the time, my wife was raised Catholic. I was raised nothing. and I had become a Christian in 1985 at a Petra concert. Woo! Beat the system. Yeah. And then promptly backslid for 14 years. Okay. So in 2000 I rededicated. This was 2001. 2001 I believe it was. So I said to my wife, I just finished reading this book called Demons. It's a Christian book. It's not like how to conjure them or anything. It was what to do if you're ever faced with attack. I read it because it sounded spooky and scary. I didn't read it because I thought I'd never have to use any of the stuff in the book. Okay? So I'm like, flip it open to that chapter. I'm like, here's what we need to do. I said, we got to get them out of here because they're going to hurt our children. They need to go. She was like, how do you get demons out of your house? In the name of Jesus. We take authority. You have dominion to trample on serpents. So, we started at the furthest room in the back of the house, and as loud as I could, I'm like, in the name of Jesus, I command you to leave my house now! Just like that. And I'm not making this up. You don't have to believe me. I don't even care if you don't believe me. Right now I'm just talking to myself, telling my story. Okay? You don't have to believe me at all. But that cold air went back to hot. That fast.
Wow.
That fast.
Wow.
Went to the next room, yelled the same thing. Okay? Now, was I talking directly to the demons when I said that? No. I was praying to God. Like, Jesus, cast these out. Okay? Praying loudly, yelling, asking Jesus to cast the demons out. Every room that we went in, cold air turned to hot. Went to my daughter's room, did the same thing. She stayed sleeping through me yelling like that, and she went like this. Fast asleep. My son, same thing. Went through the entire house. I couldn't see them. Okay, I couldn't physically see them, but I was aware that they were there. Got to the front door. Opened up the front door, and it's the middle of the night, and I'm yelling like a crazy man. I'm like, Jesus, send these things back to the pit of hell where they belong. Just yelling, in the name of Jesus, send these things back to the pit of hell where they belong. And all of a sudden, I was aware that there were 3 of them. Wow. I couldn't see them, but I was aware. And I'm looking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's 3 of them. I thought there was 1 at first. I'm like, there's 3. My wife's, she's in tears by this time, and I'm just mad, just angry. I mean, I felt like probably how Jesus felt, at the temple with the whip, chasing the money changers out. And I went out and, and I told him, I said, get off my lawn. I literally said, get the hell out of my house. And I meant, take your hell that you brought and get it out of my house. Okay? And they went out into the yard, and they were out in the yard. Again, I couldn't see them, but I was aware they're right there. And I'm like, no, I said leave. No. And like Jesus, cast these things out of my yard. And they're gone. I can't explain it, but they were just gone. And I'm like looking, I'm like trying to see them, can't see them, trying to like tune into where they're at. They were out at my mailbox. So I walked out to the mailbox, and I lowered my voice at this point. Oh yeah, they were really pushing it. They were taunting. They're just taunting. Punks. Pick on little kids. It didn't bother me, right? It didn't bother the Christian man of the household. They picked on little kids, like little girls, little punks. And this is what I'm trying to get through to you guys, okay? Their tactics are weak tactics. They come on strong. They make us believe they're coming on strong. But you have dominion to trample on serpents. And knowing that, here's what I said to him. I'm like, listen to me. I can't see you. And you know I can't see you. And I'm not sure what happens after the wedding feast. I don't know if we come back with Jesus and hunt you down and kill you. or Jesus does that on his own. But I will tell the 3 of you this. As soon as I'm done with the feast, as soon as Jesus picks up his napkin and wipes off the corners of his mouth, says you're dismissed, I'm going to raise my hand. And I'm going to say, Lord, what were their names? And I'm going to hunt you down. Because at that point, we'll be outside of time and space, and I will hunt you down. And I will cut all of your heads off. Go to hell. They were gone. And I didn't say that like some big tough guy. I said it just matter of factly, this is what's going to happen. And if you ask my kids, if Dad says this is going to happen, if I say no, you cannot go to your friend's house, don't ask me a second time, because I already said no. If I say it, that's that. And I'm telling all of you in this room right here, and I've told this story, a few times. But if I'm allowed to, I will cut their heads off. And I'm not trying to be a tough guy. I'm not trying to be, Bruce Willis or anything like that. But, right? Yeah, right. I got the authority of Jesus. I'm a little tougher than Bruce Willis. Amen. And we should be tougher than Bruce Willis. We should be tougher than Bruce Lee or whoever. I mean, we should take that authority. Chuck Norris, right? We should be tougher than Chuck. Well, no, we're not tougher than Chuck Norris because he's a believer. So we'd be about the same as Chuck Norris. But and besides, Chuck Norris is the only person that we know that can run so fast he can run around the world and punch himself in the back of the head. So. But getting back to the story, this is the kind of authority that every single one of you has over demonic forces. They need to leave. They need to go. Now, I said earlier, I don't believe that they're even worth. I don't believe they're even worth addressing them directly. But I was just that angry, right? That I was just like, if they could have manifested themselves, I would have loved to just grab and punch my fist through the back of their head. It was that kind of angry, violent, crazy, kind of thing. And I'm not advocating violence, but I am advocating take control over these things. You don't need to be depressed anymore. I've already told you this, right? We've already talked about this. When you feel that demonic depression, when you feel depressed, you feel worthless, you feel like you don't mean anything, you feel like you don't amount to anything, it's bull. You listening to me? That's bull. That's a lie. It's a lie from the pit of hell. You're created in the image of God. You're God's crowning jewel of creation. The only reason you feel depressed or feel oppressed or feel like you don't matter, feel like you don't amount to anything, feel like the artwork you're doing isn't touching anybody, Scott, the leper CDs aren't reaching anybody, grave robbers not, nobody's being impacted by that at all, nobody's even listening to your band, nobody cares about your artwork that you're painting. You're not glorifying God through that. It's all lies. It's all lies. And you have the power, you have the dominion, you have the authority, and you have the command to reject that nonsense because it's from the pit of hell. You have the right not to go out and hunt demons. I think Demon Hunter is a really cool name for a band. I don't suggest you go looking for them. Don't worry about looking for them. They'll find you, right?
Yeah, true.
Sooner or later, they're going to come around, right? Maybe old blues songs, old scratch is coming, The demons will come to you. You don't have to go looking for them. But when they do come, it's not their place to even be around you. They can't possess you in that way. They can't possess you internally, nor can they oppress you by being with you. They're not allowed. They need to go. They need to go.
One question